All right, folks, we're going to get started in just a minute. I'm John Piper, co-hosting tonight. We hope to have Steve Gamble, also known as Newspaper Steve. Mr. Boedeker is taking the night off, so he's coordinated the Denton Record Chronicles own Steve Gamble to guest host tonight. And you'll definitely want to stay tuned. We've got former Denton Ryan head coach and Denton ISD athletic director Joey Florence on with us tonight to talk a little bit about our area football and some Ryan semifinal action at AT&T Stadium coming up Friday night. There we go. All right, and as always, if you could, share the stream, like and comment. We'll try to answer your questions and comments live on the air, and we appreciate you joining us. So with that, I'm going to try to bring in Steve Gamble. Let's see if this works. I hope Boedeker booked him. Steve Gamble.
I'm here.
Oh, wow. Hey, Boedeker,
technology.
Boedeker lost that bet. He bet he took the 5-1 odds and didn't think it was going to work.
You know, Boedeker never gives me credit for anything, and that's fine because I love to disappoint him at every turn. So it's good with me.
Well, hey, Steve Gamble, it's a pleasure to have you on. You've been on several times, been a fan of the show, and you've been a guest on our show before.
Absolutely.
You've been in the sports, primarily the high school sports writing business for 20 years. Wow,
that's right.
Amazing. Along with Boedeker, an AP award-winning sports writer. So, hey.
Thank you. Appreciate that. Appreciate that shout out. Really do.
I think that was one of Boedeker's qualifications to try and fill his chair is you had to be an AP award-winning sports writer. So that's awesome.
Absolutely.
And been following the beat here locally for 6 years at the Denton Record Chronicle. I've been following you. Man, good stuff, following the high school scene. What all sports do you cover? You cover lots of different sports up there.
Anything and everything. It seems like, we're still in the throes of football right now. Obviously we're going to talk a lot about the Ryan Raiders and in terms of what they're going to do this week with Highland Park. And but obviously basketball has just started. And I was just talking to my editor the other day that sports wise, the spring is really crazy because, if you finish up with football, you jump right into basketball. Next thing you know, soccer is starting. Then you've got baseball and softball. Playoffs are going on for different sports all during that time. And then you've got track. So, wow. There's really no rest for the weary. And I've been doing it for long enough. I haven't gotten tired yet. So I'm just going to keep doing it. For as long
media guys, I haven't quite earned my stripes yet as a media guy. It's my first year kind of working in this space a little bit. But, man, you guys work, it seems like 8 days a week sometimes.
Yeah. My wife would say I work a heck of a lot more than that. So it's a lot of hard work, a lot of late nights, but it's my passion. I know it's Adam's passion too. And we have a lot of fun with it. And luckily we've got a great area that we cover. So it's a lot easier to write articles, award-winning articles, no less, when you're covering great programs like Ryan and Geyer and Denton and so on.
Speaking of Ryan, we got a Ryan fan, Martin Rodriguez, on with us. He's changed his Facebook logo to say Ryan Raiders. So I know he's a Ryan Raider fan.
I know that name. I know that name. I've seen it.
Yeah, I believe he has a son that's a sophomore up there at Denton Ryan playing football and baseball. So, hey, Martin, thank you for joining the broadcast.
Maybe relation to Cecily Rodriguez too.
Actually, yes. Actually, that is senior softball player, Denton Ryan. Yeah. Yeah. This show is all about the community, so we've got a lot of fans come on from the community, and it's been cool. This is I think our 18th week. 17th. I need Boedeker to keep me in check. 17th or 18th week episode. And I know one thing that you guys are both. I wish he was here to talk about it, but Star Wars is coming up tomorrow night. I think I was never a big Star Wars guy, but we usually do go at Christmas. But I won't be at the show tomorrow night. How about you?
I will be there. I've had my tickets for The Last Jedi for probably a good month and a half now. Reserved seating, so my son and I can literally just walk in and sit down. We don't have to sit in any lines. As much as I love Star Wars, I hate sitting in lines. So This is an exciting time. I'm trying to focus on tonight's show, but obviously I've got my eye on something else coming up tomorrow night. I'm a huge Star Wars nerd. So
got it. Well, hey, before we do that, I think he didn't want to miss out. I believe Mr. Boedeker might be knocking to come in. He wants to talk a little bit of Star Wars, I believe. Let's see if we can actually bring him on.
Of course he's knocking.
I thought he was taking the night off, but
of course he's knocking.
Boedeker.
Jeez, you look like death warmed over.
Oh, God. Stop.
Dude, I'm not yet. I'm in a room that smells like Lysol, so hopefully
Easy now.
You're quarantined.
Well, y'all hear me okay?
I can hear you just fine.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, actually, we just want to talk a little. I know you're such a big Star Wars fan. You had to take the night off. Hey, Gamble, for the record, I think I've worked more this season on the DenCoGridiron show than Boedeker has.
Oh, you doing fantastic, John.
Don't get hey.
I don't want any internal struggles here. Let's all be friends.
That guy gave me so much grief when I worked at the paper about all the vacation that I had earned. Worked hard to earn. That's it. I had a lot of vacation, and I took it, and I got so much grief. So don't even start that. We're gonna fight.
You don't want to get me on my.
It's worked out. Hey, Boedeker and I, we kind of what do you say, yin and yang it. We compliment each other. Man, it's been a good ride. It looks like we're gonna get to the finish line, Boedeker. We're gonna, I think, get it to the goal line here. We got about 1 or 2 more weeks to go, and I think we're gonna get there. Matter of fact, I know we're gonna get there.
You guys have done a fantastic job. I've been really impressed, and I appreciate the fact that you're letting me come on the show and immediately sink it. So. Yeah. We'll see what happens.
I'll tell you need to get off my show, but
oh, hey, one ground rule. Boedeker was a little worried about this, Steve, newspaper Steve. This isn't like the Kathleen and Hoda show. There's no wine drinking on the set. So I can't really see back there. You don't have any wine back there, do you?
Me? No, I've just got some bottled water. That's good enough for me.
All right. How about you, Boedeker? You're not drinking any wine, or I know you were talking about bourbon the other day.
Yeah, well, I'm waiting till my house is clear of the stomach bug before I that.
All right.
Just drinking lots of water today.
Guys, I'm going to drop out of the screen for just a minute. I want you guys to give it about 60 seconds of Star Wars talk, and then we'll come back.
All right, Adam. So I know everybody's excited about being able to talk about high school football tonight, but like John said, Star Wars does come out tomorrow night. I insisted that we talk about this to start off the show. What are your thoughts? I've already got my tickets. Have you even gone that far? I don't think Adam can hear me right now.
I'm pretty pumped up to see it. I'm hoping to maybe make it to. There's been, I'm hoping that I can make it to a show on Friday. I was surprised to see that there are still tickets available to a lot of shows on Friday. So I'm hoping to make it out there Friday afternoon. Just depends on a few things, but I'm pretty excited about it. I know I'm not as excited as you are, but I do think it's going to be pretty awesome. I've seen it getting some pretty amazing reviews. So, we'll see. I hope it's good.
I hope so too. What's your favorite episode? I don't think I ever asked you that.
Well, Empire Strikes Back probably, but I'll tell you, Rogue One was maybe my favorite. Definitely, probably my favorite other than Empire Strikes Back was Rogue One, which I know was out of the episode timeline or whatever, but it was still awesome. So
it was a really great show, really great movie. So,
well, Boedeker, hey man, thanks for popping in. You guys still going out to dinner tonight? You going to a party or anything? Or just tell me that?
No. We're hunkered down in the house trying to get my daughter well, so there will be no parties, which really sucks because my wife's Christmas party was at Ruth's Chris, and there was a casino night.
Oh, man.
I love playing casino games. I love winning prizes. So it's been a pretty awful day for us.
Yeah. Well, man, hey, we're glad you popped on. We'll be thinking about Claire. Hope she gets better. And hey, we'll talk to you real soon, man.
Okay.
Yeah.
Tell Joey Florence needs to cut his yard.
Uh-oh. Well, hey,
we'll get into that. Don't spoil any questions.
But stay on and we're asking for live questions. So, man, you can post some questions there in the comments. So we'll be looking for those. All right, man.
All right. Take care.
All right. Take care, Adam.
All right, guys. Well, hey, Steve, I almost forgot to share. We do have a presenting sponsor, Shoal Creek Tavern.
Absolutely.
We had a lot remote down there, as well as Verse Grill and Tavern. They're conveniently located down at 407 and 2499. Man, great partners of the show and great food. I've eaten at both restaurants. I don't know. Have you ever been down to Shoal Creek or Verse?
I haven't been down to Shoal Creek, but Verse is absolutely amazing. And if it's anything like if Shoal Creek is anything like Verse, then I definitely need to go check it out. I know Adam has talked about it a lot, and so have you. So I'm eager to go check that out. But Verse is amazing. Verse is amazing.
You had breakfast with us that one day. We had the live remote at Verse, didn't you?
I did, and I've also been there a couple of other times just to meet up with some people. They've got a great cod sandwich, whatever they call it. I can't remember, but it's simply to die for. So I'll definitely be going back. So.
Well, hey, I've got up on the screen. I know you can't see it, but one thing that's really cool about our community, the Denton area community, is people giving back. And I've got up on the screen, Steve, Toys for Tots. There is a drop box down at Shoal Creek Tavern for people to drop off toys during the holidays. They can do that down at Shoal Creek Tavern. It's in the shops of Highland Village. Drop off a toy. You've got time. I think they're taking them until December 22nd. So make sure you do that. That'll be a neat deal down there. So, well, Steve, let's get into a little high school football. What do you say, man?
Let's do it. What do you got?
Let's talk a little bit of some recaps. Two games that were of importance last week. The Ryan Raiders, one of our local teams, Lubbock Coronado. Ryan went on the road, Abilene Christian, Saturday afternoon. Mm-hmm. You were there. You were there, man. You saw it live. And, man, I was following it on the Twitter feed. And Ryan got off to a quick start with that explosive offense. We're going to hear from, if you're just joining us, Coach Joey Florence, Athletic Director of Denton ISD, is going to join us here in just a minute. We'll get his input on it as well. But, man, what a game, and 69 points. I mean, golly.
Well, yeah, absolutely. And I think, the last couple of weeks, I think what we've seen from Ryan is exactly what everybody expects, which is the fast starts offensively. But defensively too, I mean, this is a defense that's not exactly as big as what everybody remembers from last year. With the unit that they had last year was so big and physical, but man, they're fast. They're unbelievably fast. They get to the ball. They swarm to the ball, and they were facing a Coronado team that had scored 80 points against Colleyville Heritage the week before. They came in on an incredible high, thinking that they could do the same thing against Denton Ryan. Yeah. And everybody really thought, hey, they could very well do it. I mean, that is with Quay Gray as their quarterback, and they've got some really good receivers. I mean, that's definitely a very good football team. But Ryan came in and put some pressure on Quay Gray, and, the rest was history. They got off to the races. We talk about him so much, but Spencer Sanders was just phenomenal. And again, the defense just really shut them down and allowed that offense to their own offense to go to work.
Yeah, that's been really the only, I wouldn't even call it a question mark, is, hey, can Denton Ryan's defense shut down the opponent in a shootout type game? And the final score, I don't think was real indicative of the way the defense played. I think Coach Hennigan pulled a lot of the starters in the fourth quarter. Is that correct?
Yeah, they'd only given up 28. I think it was they'd only given up 28 points going into the fourth quarter. And then, you start sitting some players and things like that. And Coronado was able to put up 3 more touchdowns in the fourth quarter. But really, those were just kind of garbage scores and garbage time scores, I should say. And but that's, again, it's not indicative of how good this defense has been all year. They've really only had one really close game, and I'm sure everybody knows that's the Frisco Lone Star game, 28-21, which was back in week 3, I believe it was, week 4. Everything else from that point forward, I mean, they've really been, holding opponents at bay and doing a fantastic job, and it's continued through the playoffs. So kudos to them for that.
Hey, Steve, next up, this game, we don't cover these schools, but it's of very big importance because Highland Park faces off. Man, what a rematch Friday night against Denton Ryan. They pull out a tight one against Mansfield Lake Ridge, 37-35. And, man, that sets things up for just a rematch at AT&T Stadium this Friday night, man.
Absolutely.
I know you were covering that game. Any comments there?
No, I wasn't there, but, this is indicative of what Highland Park does. Highland Park is an extremely proud program with a lot of tradition. Obviously, they've got plenty of state titles to their credit, had a lot of great players, doing their thing over the years. But they don't make any mistakes. That's the biggest thing about them. And you look at this game in particular against Lake Ridge, you have Lake Ridge driving down the field looking to take the lead against Highland Park, and they get to maybe around the 20-yard line, I can't remember, and they fumble the football. Well, when you make mistakes like that against Highland Park, they're going to make you pay, and sure enough, the Scots were able to hang on to a very tight win, but, an expected win nonetheless. I think everybody from the very beginning of the season has expected this particular matchup of Ryan versus Highland Park in the state semifinals. And like you said, match from last year. So it's going to be a heck of a match. We were talking to Coach Flo before we got started here tonight, and you can never count out those boys in Highland Park, and you certainly can't count out the boys at Denton Ryan. So it's going to be a crazy game for sure. I'm going to have my hands full covering it. That's for sure.
All right. Well, hey, Steve, I think that was a great time to bring on the Denton ISD athletic director.
Let's do it.
28 years in the high school coaching and athletic business. I still call him Coach Flo. Coach Joey Florence is joining us. Let me see if I can bring him up right here. Welcome, Coach Florence, to the show. Thank you for being here. Appreciate that. Thanks, sir. Joey Florence, man, I know you were at the game, obviously out at Abilene Christian on Saturday, and we saw some pictures and some video out there of presenting the trophy after the game. What was the emotions like there on the field?
Well, those are always fun times. Our kids were excited, and I'll tell you what, it's kind of a neat experience for me. They called me and said, "Hey, we got to get the trophy down to the field," and of course, a great defensive end, and Ryan Rader, Thomas Wilson is throwing the discus out there at Abilene Christian University, and so I grabbed him, and he got to present the trophy to the team, and it was just pretty cool deal because he was such a leader for him last year, and that's what high school sports can do. It's very important to him, and that was one of those cool deals.
You've had the program, Denton Ryan's had a lot of great athletes come through there, so it's neat that one of Denton Ryan's own could do that.
Yeah, it's a pretty cool deal. Yeah,
cool. You bet. Well, Newspaper Steve, you know him well.
I do.
Newspaper Steve.
I do. I love the newspaper. I love the media.
I think he's just saying that because he's on live TV right now, Facebook Live TV. Yeah. But I've had a lot of fun getting to know Coach Flo over the years, and he's definitely put up with me, and hasn't kicked me out of his office yet. Although I do know a reporter that shall remain nameless, and it's not Adam. I'm not talking about Adam. But I do know a reporter that's been kicked out of his office before. I know a reporter that's been kicked out of his office before, but I can safely say I haven't had that happen to me. So
no, Steve, Ben Baby's not in your league. Y'all are good. He deserved every minute of it.
Oh, so. Ben Baby. So I guess I know Ben Baby. So Ben Baby's the one that you had to usher out of your office.
Well, Ben and I had a long talk about when he was in college and how to appropriately.
He was kind of learning the ropes.
So he had to respectfully address the head coach of the Ryan Raiders. So we had some fun with that.
Good. Oh my gosh.
It was fun, but it's
Hey, Ben Baby, if you're watching, man, let's hear from you.
Yeah,
Ben Baby.
Yeah, that'll be good.
Yeah,
Ben's a great guy. We give him a lot of stuff, but he's a good guy, and I know Coach Flo loves him too.
Hey, here's another one that is it true that you only agreed to come on because you checked in advance and you confirmed that Boedeker was not going to be on the show.
No, I was really looking forward to it.
Okay.
Adam and I go back a long time too.
Yeah.
So we were looking forward. I was kind of disappointed that he wasn't here.
Actually, he just commented about that. He just wanted to clarify that for the record. So that's good stuff, Boedeker. That's good. Good stuff. Well, hey, I know we want to talk about, this is our first year covering Denton area football. I know Boedeker and I came up, met you at the beginning of the season, and I think you might have been sitting there about like this and saying, what are you guys going to do again? And here we are 17 weeks later. So we appreciate the Denton ISD support of the DenCoGridiron show. We've been up to quite a few games at CH Collins and on the road. And one thing I do want to ask you before we let Steve kind of take over is that ESPN game. ESPN came to town. I think it was a Thursday night game. What was that like for the athletic programs in Denton to have ESPN come to town and cover a Denton Ryan game?
It's
and Denton Broncos, by the way.
Yeah, it was great to have two of our teams, and we were one of the first teams. Played South Lake Carroll back in '03, one of the first nationally televised high school football games, and it's pretty interesting for me to watch when ESPN comes in or Fox, and they want to put our schools on. I know we played Coach Walsh at Geyer on Fox Southwest a couple times. I know I can remember. But it's on the national stage, for your kids and your community, and get to show off. And that's not just your football; that's your band and your cheerleading.
Oh yeah.
The community to get to be a part of that. It's an experience, that of course when I grown up, I've had that opportunity.
Right.
So, we thought it was valuable for the kids, and it's just we've got a lot of special things happening here in Denton, and it was good to show them all.
Yeah, it was a phenomenal night. I know they even brought in a special crane with some extra lights, and it was first class production, and like you said, the band, the Code Red, just everybody it was a lot of fun. So that's cool.
Yeah,
so
it's a good thing. It's a good thing.
All right. Hey, Steve, before you get into it, Leslie Gamble, you might know her. She joined the show. She said Steve Gamble. Boom, right there.
She's
Leslie Gamble on her.
My biggest fan.
That's good.
She's my biggest fan.
That's good. All right, Steve. Hey, I'm going to let you get into some hardcore media stuff. I'm kind of the fan part of the show. You're the hardcore media guy, so I can't ask the hard driving questions, but you can. So take it away, buddy.
All right. Well, Coach, I'm sure you're used to it by now. It's kind of like following the bouncing ball with me in terms of just jumping around from question to question. But the first thing I just want to give you an opportunity just to kind of tell all of our viewers tonight, just give them kind of a state of Denton ISD union address, so to speak. I mean, how do you see things have gone so far in Denton ISD, especially since you've been, the athletic director, and obviously you opened up a new school over at Braswell, and athletically you've had a ton of success throughout all the programs and the different sports. So, what's the state of the Denton ISD right now in your mind?
Well, the state of the Denton ISD that it's growing, and that's a good thing. One of the things that I've learned and had to transition into is just how large our district is and how many kids we have participating. My calendar on Thursday nights, we'll have as many as 70 different events from junior high through high school, boys and girls athletes, and that's been a little overwhelming for me at times when you think about it. You sit down and think about all the kids that we've got participating, which is the cornerstone of what we believe in. We believe in athletics. We believe in what we're doing, and we want these kids involved and want them to get into stuff. So it's been really good, and we've got a lot of great things here. The Geyer basketball team, one of the top teams in the state of Texas right now.
That's right.
You got Ryan playing, and of course Geyer is traditionally going to be a great football program like they've been, and we've got some exciting things in softball and baseball, and it's a great state. I mean, I think we're in a good place, and we got a lot more work to do, but I'm proud of the part.
I definitely see you everywhere. It's like you step away from coaching and you think, hey, I might have some extra free time on my hands, but I see you at softball, I see you at baseball, I obviously see you at basketball and volleyball and football. Like you said earlier, it seems like you're busier now than you were when you were coaching, or is that?
No, the life of a high school football coach is people just have no idea of the hours those guys put in, and I respect them for what they do. This job that I have now is I enjoy going to the games. You want to be visible, you want to engage and be at places, but it's nothing like the intensity of a high school coach, and especially in these long runs like these guys are into right now. Those are long years for you. So no, I'm not spending the hours, but it is difficult to get to everybody and be around, but it's also something that I enjoy. I love sports, and it doesn't matter to me.
Hey, Steve, you can't see it on your screen, but I've got a picture pulled up of Coach Flo when he was the head coach at Denton. You remember that scene right there, Coach?
It's over at Cowboy Stadium. I don't know what game that was, but kind of looks at me. I'm not sure I'm happy or not. I can't really tell.
Yeah, there's an ESPN crew up there. And then, Friday night, man, what a deal for high school athletes to take the bus inside the gates of Cowboy Stadium, man. It's got to give everybody goosebumps.
Yeah. One of the neatest things we did in the old Cowboy Stadium, or Texas Stadium that we used to do, when you drove in at night and you're on that bus, and you can see that light coming up through that deal, there's an excitement on that bus, and the kids will get that because this stadium here is so much larger and so much more. You could put all of Old Texas Stadium in it, but there's nothing like it being on a bus with a bunch of high school kids, and you get to where you can see the side of the stadium and the lights and all the activity. And then when you roll down that ramp, it's you get off that bus and walk on that field. It's pretty cool experience.
Yeah, I'm excited. I got my credentials just today. Hey, how about that, newspaper, Steve? They're getting the DenCoGridiron show some credentials to get into AT&T Stadium.
Fantastic.
Who would have thought that, right? Who would have thought that?
Man, we let anybody in nowadays. That's great. That's great.
All right, man.
I'm going to, obviously, Coach, I want to get into talking a little bit about, the football side of things with Ryan. But real quick, I wanted to, add in, for those of you who are just joining us, again, we're talking to Denton ISD Athletic Director Joey Florence. And, of course, he is the former coach over at Denton, Ryan. He was able to, along with a lot of great coaches, able to take that program to 5 state title games, winning 2 of them. But beyond that, Coach, I mean, even when you weren't winning state titles, there was always successful seasons. I mean, Ryan was always one of the perennial playoff favorites every single year. When you look back at everything that you were able to create, along with your coaching staff and all the great players that you've had along the way, how difficult was it for you to step away and say, I'm gonna wear a different hat and try something different?
Well, it was one of the most difficult decisions I've ever made. I loved the kids at Ryan. They're very special to me, and we worked very hard to build that program. And you spend 14 years of day in, day out working to make that place a special place. It was very difficult, but it was an easy decision. On the other hand, my last year of coaching, my daughter Hannah was a freshman, and I was basically able to see 1 or 2 of her volleyball games. Gotcha. And the only thing for me was that these kids, I looked up, my kids were in high school, and my wife had raised them since they were little, and it was time for me to, what little time we have left is to get to where I can spend more time watching them and enjoy their high school experience with them. So from that standpoint, it wasn't a very, very hard decision at all. But I will say this, and I told somebody this the other day, but I did look down there at the 8th grade and saw Spencer Sanders down there, and I had to give a pause for a second because I thought there might be a chance that he might be pretty good.
Are you reading off my notes, Coach? Because I swear that's a perfect segue to my next question. I mean, let's talk about Spencer, because it seems like, well, heck, everybody's talking about Spencer nowadays. Obviously, I've written a lot about him. Adam's talked about him. I mean, everybody is. He just won the Gatorade Player of the Year for Texas earlier this week. He was up for the Landry Award as well. What's your assessment of him, especially from freshman year to now? And were you the one who actually told Coach Hennigan, hey, you've got a guy coming who's going to be pretty special?
We talked about it when Coach Hennigan and sat down. We discussed him coming back to Ryan. There was, the freshman class in front of them, Tyreek Davis and Ernie Wilson, and those guys were very talented. And then, of course, we knew Spencer, and those guys were down in the 8th grade. And we felt there might be a couple of tough years of dip in the talent. We always have had talent at Ryan. It wasn't like they were out of talent, but you just knew those kids could be special, and actually, for Spencer to step in and play as a freshman is pretty incredible. We didn't have a lot of kids on those teams that we had that played as freshmen. We've had some that stepped in and helped out at times, but taking over a starting position like that is
he's the first quarterback at Ryan to ever start as a freshman. Is that accurate?
I don't know. The year before I came, James Battle was a freshman, and they said he played some on the varsity, but I don't know that he actually started. I don't know, the exact deal, but those Spencer to step in and start as a true freshman it says a lot about that kid.
Just his growth process. I mean, are you just amazed by what you're seeing from him?
Well, I'm amazed. I'm not surprised. I mean, the one thing that I learned about Spencer, and I saw this when he was playing down at Strickland Middle School, was just that, it didn't matter whether it's football, basketball, free safety, or quarterback. The guy wants to win, and that's one of the first things you look at for a quarterback is do they have the heart of a champion? And he does. I mean, it's another thing that he does. He hates to lose. He's such an intense competitor. And then you throw in all the other intangibles, the ability to run and throw and his toughness. I mean, it's just he's what you want in a quarterback. And so I'm not surprised. He always amazes me. The run that he made at Denison, where he jumped over the kid, everybody was oohing and ahhing about the jumping over the kid. I was oohing on that he was able, as soon as he hit the ground, make a cut, make another guy miss. Most kids, most guys, when they do that hurdle move, they're going to fall, coming down, but not him. He was able to make a guy miss and then make another guy miss before he got into the end zone. So I'm always amazed at what he does, but probably not ever surprised.
Well, I wanted to pull these up real quick because I took the time to add all these up from freshman year to now. I mean, the kid's got, you say kid, I mean, he's like a grown man out there, but Spencer Sanders has got 51 now career starts under his belt. Total yards, he's got 13,123 total yards. These are the numbers heading into the Monterey game.
Yeah.
Okay, so he threw for 302 last week, so you can tack that on there. But he's got 117 passing touchdowns and 43 rushing touchdowns, again, going into that Monterey game. So you're talking about now 167 touchdowns that he's accounted for over the course of 4 years and only 22 interceptions. You hear, I mean, that's, when you get them written down on paper like that, Coach, I mean, that's just some pretty scary stuff when you look at it. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah, I never was a big statistic guy, but those statistics are pretty impressive, and what he's done in the last 4 years. And of course, the game's changed, and
sure,
those kids are getting more opportunities on offense. But I don't want to take anything away from him. He's, I know what he wants. He wants to leave his legacy as a state champion. That's one thing he hasn't gotten, and I think he'll trade all those statistics to get a victory here this week, and then one more the next week. But yeah, those are impressive numbers. I don't care what league you're playing in. It's pretty impressive what the kid's done.
Right. We're going to move on to some other stuff. The last thing about Spencer, I mean, where do you put him in the pantheon of Denton Ryan quarterbacks? Obviously, again, you've had some great ones: James Battle, Justin Willis, even Scotty Young. The list can go on and on. You've had some great guys. So where do you put him? Is it fair? I mean, how do you do that?
Yeah, it's hard. It's those are great kids you just mentioned. I thought Austin Knight was a great player for us as well.
Right.
And Austin and Nash, those are our quarterbacks. I mean, we've been fortunate to have a lot of Division I athletes play quarterback over there, and Gyra same way with J.W. Walsh and Gerard. Those kids were. We've got a lot of great quarterbacks come through here, and Spencer is definitely named to be one of the best ones, and there's no doubt. It's people ask me, would you all week, is he better than Battle? Is he better than Battle? And I said, I'll take both of them. It doesn't make me any difference. I'm a believer in both of them, and so they're just great quarterbacks. And one thing I know Spencer wants to do is he wants to go out a winner.
No, absolutely.
And so that's something he's got. I can see that in him. He's playing a little harder each week, and he's putting the team on his back. And he's trying to find ways to win, and he will. He's right. He's a gamer.
Absolutely. Moving on to Coach Hennigan a little bit. When I first started covering the Ryan Raiders, that was the year, his first year coming into the program. came in a little bit later in the season after Ben Baby moved on to Austin, or San Antonio, I should say. Sorry, but they finished 5-5 that year. It was a very up and down season, like you said earlier. Just trying to get your feet back underneath you and stuff like that. But since then, I mean, this program has been extremely dominant. I've only had 2 losses since then.
Yeah.
How impressed have you been with him? And I know you say we a lot, and deservedly so. So how impressed have you been with him and that coaching staff as a whole? Shane Tollison and everybody else that you've got over there running that show with Coach Hennigan.
Well, I'm same thing. I believe in them, and not surprised by what they're doing. They're excellent coaches. They're great role models. They coach with passion, and they're kid centered. They love those kids, and those kids play for them. And that's something that I knew when talking about who's going to take. I've told Coach Hennigan this. I can't give him any more bigger compliment, and for me to let him take that program that I'd spent 14 years. Trying to develop. And so I knew he was the right guy for the job. We knew the first year or so in 6A was going to be difficult. Like I said, there was, it's all relative when we say we had a dip in talent. But we knew we were going to be young, and they stumbled a little bit there. And as I told you earlier today, he thought I was kidding, but I told him point blank. I said, "Hey man, you can't go 5-5 at DenCo, and if you do that again, I'm going to love you, but I'm going to love you on down that road. You're going to have to give it." And he asked me not long ago. He said, "Coach, you knew that when you told me that?" I said, "Absolutely, I did." No, I knew he. I want my kid playing for him. He's that kind of guy, and I knew he was special when he was our coordinator back in 01 or 02, I guess, and 03. And I've known Dave, and he's just his moral character and his integrity, and I think he's one of the best play callers that I've seen. And I put him in there with Kevin Atkinson and John Walsh. Those are great play callers. And Dave's he's out of that same mold, and so he had everything we had. He had a history at DenCo, so he wasn't going to come in and reinvent the wheel. There were things that I insisted on that, hey man, this thing's working. I need somebody that can come in here and just build upon, put your own spin on it, which he's done. Right. But not surprised at all. It's important in Denton. It's important at DenCo, and they've got great community support, but they've also got great administrative support over there. So you've got everything you need, and obviously you're going to have talent that come through there. And then he was definitely the right guy for the job.
Well, they definitely have talent. So speaking of talent, let's get in real quick to this week's game. I know obviously you're not going to be on the sidelines coaching, but we know that it's obviously a highly anticipated showdown between Ryan and Highland Park. They're no strangers to each other. I mean, and beyond just last year's game, which Highland Park was able to win 31-24. But even before that, you guys have obviously butted heads on the gridiron more times than not. So what are your thoughts on this matchup?
Well, the matchup's going to be difficult. I mean, anytime you got 4 teams left, and all 4 of them are really good. And Highland Park, they got great condition, and I have so much respect for Randy Allen, their coach. I think they're one of the best coach football programs around. They're very thorough. They'll scout you and they'll take advantage of you, and they're gonna if you got some weaknesses now, they're gonna come after you, and they'll attack you and put you in some strategic situations that'll cause us some problems on Friday. But we got some pretty good coaches too. It's just an interesting matchup. I tell you what, Highland Park is they don't beat themselves, as you and I were talking earlier. They expect to win. Those kids come from highly successful people, and they want their kids to be successful. And every time they're just like Ryan. When you step on the field, they think they're supposed to win the game, and anything but winning is not going to be acceptable. So it's going to be a great matchup. It's going to be a great game, and a lot on the line. And if you love Texas high school football, that's the place to be on Friday night. It'll be on the greatest in the greatest venue of the world. There's not a better stadium than that, and you're going to see two of Texas high school football's tradition-rich programs going at it with a lot on the line. The winner's going to go to the state championship game, and so that's going to be pretty exciting.
Hey, Steve, we've got a lot of folks on with us right now. Everybody's excited about the playoff matchups. I want to reset the show a little bit. And we talked earlier about giving away a hat. I think you got a hat in your studio. Can you bring up one of the DenCoGridiron hats here?
Talk about this one right here, this bad boy.
Perfect. Yeah. I think for folks to win the hat, they got to tell us, since you guys were talking about Star Wars early, your favorite Star Wars episode and why in the comments. And then I'll let you and Coach Flo pick the winner at the end. How about that?
Sounds good.
All right. Everybody got that? I'll post that here. Just your favorite Star Wars episode and why to win a DenCoGridiron hat. All right. There we go.
All right. Well, getting back to the questions, Coach, when you jump back to last year's game, obviously I know you were there. Spencer got hurt in that one early, second quarter, hurt his knee. Spencer said, and a lot of the other people have said, hey, that game could have turned out very differently, had the injury not happened and stuff like that. But how big is an injury like that? And especially, looking back on your career as the football coach at Ryan, I mean, did you face similar situations like that where, you had a big time player that you faced a lot of injury bugs, so to speak?
Well, we were fortunate. That's part of winning state championships. You've got to stay healthy, and some years are better than others. When we were on our run, we've lost kids, but I never lost our quarterback. There was one year for the season. Now, there was one year when Mitchell Bridges was our quarterback, and I think we got down to our fourth quarterback in one game. Just seemed like we had the injury bug. We were down. I know we were to our third center. I'm not sure what year that was, but it was like 07 or maybe 11 or 12. I just can't remember. But it happens. But to win these things, you got to stay healthy, and that was very unfortunate last year. But I'll say this, and most Ryan Raiders will say the same thing, that next man up, somebody's got to rise up, somebody's got to make a play. Especially goes down Friday night, heaven forbid, then there's still got to be a belief that you're going to get it and find a way to get it in there. And that's what happens, because everybody's got injuries. But absolutely, when you lose a kid like that, it's demoralizing to your team. And as a coach, it's something that the issues that it can bring. But, that's the great thing about great programs, somebody else. And that's one of the things I loved about coaching. You just never know who's going to step in there and make that play. And somebody else might pick that ball up and run with it. You never know.
Well, it's like you said. I mean, obviously everybody puts a spotlight on Spencer Sanders, but this is a program that's got a ton of really great athletes. A lot of them we haven't even mentioned by name this evening, but, Gabe Douglas and Towski Dove are really playing lights out on the outside at receiver right now. And I think one of the bigger things with Ryan's offense is how deep they are at receiver, which gives Spencer plenty of weapons to use. When you look at the inside guys like Jamarian Robertson and everybody else, even the freshman Jatavian Sanders. So do you like seeing? I mean, when you look at that type of an offense, Coach, and you see all those weapons, I mean, it's got to make even you salivate. Just like, man, I mean, the things that Coach Hennigan and his staff can do with all those weapons is just mind-boggling.
Well, they'll cause you some matchup issues. There's no doubt. The Bowman kid and the two that impressed me were Bowman and Robertson inside. Those kids are unbelievable. And then, of course, Jatavian has been an unbelievably big addition since they got in here to the playoffs. And he's going to be a very special player. But you already knew what Dove and Douglas brought. And they're obviously two of the top receivers in the state. They're hard. They're going to cause you some matchup issues just by their pure size out there on the outside. And then you put Jatavian in there, and he gives you that size. And then you got two little fast guys in there that are pretty talented too. So, and then Spencer's ability to pull the ball down and run it, they can cause you some matchup problems. There's no doubt.
Well, I know Coach Tollison would probably get upset if we didn't talk a little defense. What's your thoughts on that defense? Obviously, I said at the top of the show that they're not as big as they were last year, but man, they've got a lot of great players in there, and the Raiders are fast and they swarm to the football. What's your thoughts on the defense?
Well, we've always played defense at Ryan. We put a premium on it, and those kids are carrying on that tradition. They're not as big, but they're very fast, very aggressive. The coaches are doing a great job keeping them moving. And here's the deal: defense is you just play with your heart, and those kids are playing with a lot of emotion, a lot of heart over there, and very talented on the back end. They got a lot of speed over there on the backside. But I've been impressed and with a lot of them. Carson Kennedy is one of my favorite kids to watch out there. He's making tackle after tackle, and looks like the slowest kid, weakest kid out there, but he's always making big plays for them. And coached his brothers or his older brother, and he's stepping in and contributing. So, and you can't say enough for the job Coach Tolson's doing and his coaching
Absolutely.
staff. They're doing a good job as well. So it's fun to watch them play defense.
You know what's fun, Coach, is watching Coach Tollison pace back and forth in the coach's office every day this week that I've been over there. In terms of I think he's more amped up than the players are, Coach.
Well, most defensive coordinators by nature wake up in a bad mood. That's just
I wouldn't say he's in a bad mood. I didn't say that.
I would.
You're not talking about all the DISTL.
I'm talking about if you're worth the darn as a defensive coordinator, you got to have that personality. And Shane's very, and I'll tell you this is something that he draws kids in because they want to play for him, because he is passionate about defense and he's passionate about winning, and he loves those kids, and that's what you got to do. I mean, you got to show those kids you love them, and he coaches with emotion, and so I've been very proud of him, and he's a college guy. We don't normally hire college guys at Ryan High School. That's a little inside joke for Coach Tolson. I think I saw his name pop up over a while ago. But
I know he's watching. He
and Conroy Hines are two of the only college coaches that we've hired that have been worth it. A lot of those college guys, they kind of drop down into high school till they get another job, but Tolson and Conroy, number one, nobody would hire Conroy Hines again in college.
Oh my gosh!
So he stuck around a little while, and then I think Tolson's finding that high school football is a lot better for him too. But hey, I'm teasing. I love those guys.
I think you could say whatever you want about Coach Hines, because I had to help him figure out how to use Twitter last year, so I'm pretty sure he doesn't know how to use Facebook either.
I can say pretty much what I want about Coach Hines. There is no doubt. He's we're lucky to have him. I'll tell you what, he helped me out this year, and he was our offensive coordinator, and he did a great job. And can't say enough about him.
They're both. All of them are. The entire coaching staff. They're fun to be around, and they definitely care about those kids. I could go on and on about what I see just covering that beat. So you're absolutely 100% right on that. So. John, that's the questions that I've got for Coach Flo for the first time around. First stab through this. I know probably want to maybe get into the corral a little bit. Or
yeah. Let me. I'm going to post real quick. Folks are just joining about the Star Wars episode. Win a hat, and then we'll Coach go into a segment that we've started here on the show called the DenCo Corral. See if I can bring that up. And that's where we get a little off football and talk about other things and see if you can kind of stay on the crazy bull and not get thrown off. So, Steve, be gentle. It's your first time here. We want to make sure you come back. So with that, we'll hop into the DenCo Corral.
All right, Coach. Are you nervous at all, or you feel like you got this?
Yeah, I tell the kids all the time, let's be anxious. Let's don't be nervous. So that's the difference. So I'm a little anxious, but no, you don't make me nervous.
Did any other coaches tell you about this? Have you heard of the DenCo Corral?
No, go ahead. Okay. No, I have not heard of it, but I'm game. Hey, I'll do anything once.
Okay. All right. Well, here you go. For what it's worth, I am glad that I'm not sitting in the same room with them right now, because some of these questions may catch them off guard. Let's see. So, again, this is Adam and Piper's show, so I'm trying not to rock the boat too much. So let's just start off a little simple. This is a DenCo Corral staple. What would be your final meal, Coach, if you could choose one meal to eat for your last one on Earth? I know that this is.
Well, I'm gonna have a T-bone steak and baked potato.
Wow. Is there any particular place that you would have that from, or are you going to make that yourself?
I'm going to make it myself, more than likely. And, I've never had a bad T-bone steak, so it doesn't really matter. But that's an easy question for me. So.
Okay. All right. So here's another one. I did a little research on my own, Coach, and I saw that you have a Pinterest page.
Yes.
Are
you trying to make fun of that?
No, I'm not making fun of that at all, Coach. But I do want you, if you would please, to humor me and give the viewers that are watching tonight a good sense of what's pinned on Joey Florence's board, his Pinterest board.
Well, I mean, you can follow me on Pinterest if you'd like to, and they can see my board. So, I got on the Pinterest, had no idea that it was a arts and craft deal for women.
Hey, it's not just for women.
I know people start making
it's not just for women.
I'm like, I'm trying to build things, and you got all kinds of blueprints and ideas on how to landscape your yard, and
okay.
And then, hey, how to grill and eat a little healthier, and recipes. And that's one thing my wife and I do. We go in there and find recipes. So, no, hey, I'm very comfortable with my Pinterest account. That doesn't bother me at all. You guys can ask me.
You look like from what I saw, you look like you're very proud of it. And you've got a very solid Pinterest board from what I saw. So,
hey, real men do Pinterest.
Yes.
Real men do Pinterest.
I'm very impressed. I'm very impressed.
That's good research. Do that. Let's go.
All right. So I've heard from a very reliable source that you are very intent about manicuring your lawn. Mm-hmm. Can you kind of tell us about that? And I even heard that you may or may not own a jackhammer.
Yes.
I've got nothing to do with this.
I will work with my hands. I'm not afraid to sweat and get in my yard. I think you can tell a lot about a man's house when you drive by, and if they take any pride in their yard and their landscaping, and you can kind of tell. And the jackhammer was a great story. When I was removing a flower bed, I didn't know there was about a 20-foot footer of concrete down below it, and people thought I was crazy. I ripped me a jackhammer, and it took me 3 weekends to get that thing out of there. But that's the coach in me. I got in there. I wasn't going to give up. And my wife kept coming out there telling me, there are people that will come do this for you. And I told her, I said, well, I just can't quit. I'm going to finish what I started. But yeah, I do appreciate a good yard. There's no doubt.
Yeah. So with that being said, do you get on your neighbors? Do you sit there and say, "Hey, mow your lawn, would you?" I mean, what are you doing? You got weeds.
I mind my own business. I have had a couple of old ladies walk in the neighborhood, stop and ask me, how much I charge. They thought I was. I had a Frenchie shirt on one time, and
my God.
Coach, do you have a real mower?
I have a real mower.
Nice.
Yes, I have a true cut. At 50.
Is it gas powered?
Oh, absolutely.
Oh, wow.
You get 50 years old. Some people go to Vegas. Some people buy a Corvette. They go through midlife crisis. I told my wife I want a 22-inch real cut, true cut mower.
I used to have a manual one.
Yeah. No, the manual.
Years in it.
Manual.
I'm going to have to borrow yours.
You got to step your game up. You don't live over here in Oakmont. You got to step your game up.
Yeah. Step it up.
All right. Moving on. I've been told, and I've seen this for myself. I've got a little bit of a story to go along with this question. That you're really good at predicting the way things are going to turn out in a football game, kind of like a modern day Nostradamus, so to speak. Little story that I have from what I've experienced personally was, and this was very low key, but Ryan was playing Richland in a scrimmage, not this season, but the year before. Over at the high school, mm-hmm. And I'm standing in the end zone with Coach Flo, and we're just kind of talking back and forth. And Richland had, again, it's just a scrimmage, but Richland had hit a long pass on that defense and got down to maybe about the 5-yard line or something like that. And I turned to Coach Flo and I said, "They're gonna score? I mean, Richland's really gonna score right now." And Coach Flo looks at me and he says, "No, watch. He's gonna get an interception. Just give it a second." Just not even like 2 seconds later, it was either Randy Gray or Delano Robinson comes up with a perfectly timed interception in the end zone to kill that drive. And of course, Coach Flo turns to me and immediately says, "Don't ever question me again, boy."
Yeah.
So again, that brings up my question, though. I mean, I've heard a lot of stuff about you just being able to predict things and stuff like that. Is that accurate in the grand scheme of things? And what's kind of your favorite, if you have one, prediction that you've made?
No, it's all false bravado. It's the one thing I learned. If you're going to be in charge, even if you don't know what you're doing, you got to act like you know what you're doing. And so, I make up a lot of things and just try to get those guys to think I know what I'm talking about.
Well, it's pretty uncanny, Coach, how these things actually happen.
No, I've been around it. I've watched a lot of football, from the time I was 4 or 5 years old. And my daddy was coaching for the Plano Wildcats and my whole life. And one of the biggest compliments I ever got was that I was a high school football junkie. There was no doubt I was going to jump in the car and we'll drive anywhere. I hear there's a good football game down in Central Texas. I'll drive down and watch them. And over the years, you just get a feel for the game. And no, I can't predict what's going to happen. I get a hunch that stuff like that might happen. My greatest story is in the state championship game against Lamar. And I told the kids at halftime that we need to get a turnover on this kickoff. And we got it. That's
the one I heard.
Yeah, well, we got it. And here, I'm walking around down there like I was somebody on the sideline, and the kids were just looking at me like, man, that guy crazy. But you just get lucky. But again, really, it's just something I just picked up on from being around the game so much, and I don't have any psychic powers. I can tell you that.
Well, if they're hunches, I'll that's fine if they're hunches, but your hunches are pretty much spot on. But I'm sure all the coaches that might be watching this are agreeing with me on that. Next question real quick. I've actually, again, I do a lot of research. I ask a lot of questions, and I didn't get the privilege of being able to coach, to cover the Ryan Raiders when you were coaching the team. But I've heard a few nicknames that you've been able to gather over the years for yourself, whether they've been self-imposed nicknames or people have just given them to you.
Yeah.
A couple of them, microwave.
Absolutely.
White lightning.
Yep. Microwave, my basketball coach, they put me in. I heated it up for them in high school. And then I was the fourth leg on the sprint relay, and I was fast guy. So they just referred to me. It was natural to be White Lightning. And Dr. Death on defense playing the deal. And the funny thing is, I started telling these kids these things at Denton Ryan. I knew we were a good match because they believed every one of them. I started laughing. I said, "You guys, we're gonna get along real good." Because they knew me. I was about as average as they come in high school, and but these kids in Denton, they don't know that. They think I was a great player.
So what's microwave though? Like what is that?
You put me in, I'll heat it up in basketball. I like it. That's all you got to do.
When you put me in, I'll heat it up.
Hey, look, I told a true story the other day. We were getting ready. We were getting ready for the playoffs in basketball my junior year. My basketball coach called me in the office. We're getting on the bus. He said, "Florence, if you shoot the ball again, you will never get in the game." Pretty much told me how it was. He said, "Your job is to get the ball to those guys that know what to do with it." And I said, "Okay, not a problem." So,
hey, Boedeker has a quick question, and I think tied into the Master saying, are the Cowboys going to win out? And you have a hunch that Texas Tech is going to beat South Florida?
No and no. So,
he tells it like it is. Coach, I did that to Coach Flo during the World Series. I asked him, and I know Adam's going to hate me for bringing this up because he's not an Astros fan, but I texted Coach Flo on Game 7, and I said, "Coach, I need you to tell me that the Astros are going to win this game." And he straight up told me that the Dodgers were going to win 4-2, I think is what it was. And I was sick all night until it was finally over, because I don't doubt that this guy's hunches are spot on every time. But
hey, I love playing baseball, but I don't watch it, so I don't pretend to know. Again, that was faking it all the way. But
I'm glad you were wrong that one time. Moving on real quick. I know we're running short of time, but who is the funniest coach in the Denton ISD besides yourself, and why?
Who is the funniest coach in the Denton ISD, and why?
It can even be a coach that you really like to give a hard time to, and you just end up going back and forth, and turns out to be very humorous, I guess. The funniest or the oddest? I mean, that's the deal. Why don't you do both?
Well, I'm gonna go on Conroy Hines. I mean, there's a couple at Braswell, and there's a couple at Geyer that are pretty funny, but I'm gonna go ahead and give Conroy Hines. I get the biggest kick out of him. He never quits talking when he's coaching, and I don't even know if he knows what he's saying to those kids when he just keeps barking at them, and he keeps them moving all the time. And the funniest thing he did when he came in from Louisiana, he coached 24 years in college at La Tech, and first round we got in the playoffs, we're playing one of the teams out of Amarillo. And in the staff meeting, Conroy goes, "Hey man, I don't really know, but hey, where do the JVs play? Do we meet somewhere between Dill and I thought, my God, how can he be coaching Texas high school football? I want to know where the JVs are going to play." And Dill, but I get a big kick watching Conroy.
Well, I'll tell you,
coach out there.
I'll tell you real quick, Coach. Going out to Sherman to watch that district game. Sherman puts you the visiting press in the same press room as the visiting coaches, and I got to hear Coach Hines loud and clear in that game.
Yeah.
I would love. I have an impersonation of him that's perfect. I'm not going to do it tonight because it's really loud and it'll probably freak a lot of people out on Facebook. But
no, let's do it. Do it, Gamble. Come on.
It's a lot of fun.
I'd like to see it.
Yeah.
Neither one of you get hair, so go ahead.
Oh wow!
Yeah.
No,
Give it a shot.
Well, there's not a whole lot to it. The guy just screams, and like you said earlier, I'm not even sure he knows what he's saying half the time. But basically, he gets on there, and every play is Spencer, you missed. Oh, Kowski's wide open, Spencer.
Yep.
And
that's pretty good.
Nice.
It's enough to make your ears bleed, Coach. But I love Coach Hines. He's a great guy.
Yeah, he's a treasure. There's no doubt.
He's probably going to rip me a new one if he's watching this right now. But we love you, Coach Hines.
He's probably eating some boudin or something, some crawfish and Cajun stuff. He's not following that. So I promise you.
Well, all right. So, is there back on more of a serious note? Is there a coach, past or present, that you really enjoyed matching up with in games, and why?
Just profound respect for Todd Dodge. We never beat them. They beat us the 3 times we played them, and enjoyed the matchup. That was back when they were on their heyday, and they were really good. But Randy Allen was going to be one of the all-time winningest coaches in Texas history and Texas high school football history. And we played them 2 out of 3 times, or we beat them 2 out of 3 times. And I always would like to tell, we played Matt Stafford, and Matt was a sophomore, junior, and senior. And the 2 times, his sophomore and junior year, we beat him. And then his senior year, he got injured, didn't play, and they beat us. So those were kind of some pretty interesting matchups back in the day when we were playing those guys. And I've been blessed. I stood across the field against some great men, some great coaches, and there are no better coaches. In the state of Texas are the leading high school football coaches in the country, and I've been fortunate to compete against some of the very best. And I always thought that was an honor. There are just so many good ones. Coach Walsh over there at Geyer. Just obviously we had some battles with those guys, and you respect those guys. So I've been fortunate. I missed those battles. Those are fun. Those are some fun times, and so I count my blessings in those.
What do you think of that fedora that Coach Allen wears over there? Do you think that thing's got magical powers or something?
No. He did that to tribute in all seriousness. Tom Landry was a great role model for all of us, and he showed us the way coaching should be and could be. And I think Randy. People have misunderstood what he was trying to do, but he was doing that to honor. We were all sickened when he died, and I think Aunt Randy's done that, and it's a great tribute to that guy. And I think Randy's got a lot of the same qualities that Coach Landry had. So.
Oh, absolutely, he's done a great job over there. Can't stress that enough.
Absolutely.
So besides manicuring your lawn and taking care of your Pinterest board, what's Joey Florence's favorite hobby? I mean, what do you do outside of football and being the athletic director to stay sane?
Man, I don't have a lot of hobbies. I'm playing golf, and I'm awful at it. I've become. This is a little trivia for you. I'm pretty sure I'm one of the only high school football coaches to ever be 17 to a district coach of the year in football and softball. I'd like to know of another coach that had that distinction. And
actually, Mark Leeds put in here a pretty mean job of coaching some softball.
Absolutely. I had the opportunity to coach Haley's fall ball team this year, and my record has greatly decreased since my football career. I think we won 2 games this summer. I was proud of that. We did some good things. I'm family's my biggest deal. I try to spend time with them, and I just don't have a lot of hobbies. That was one of my concerns when it got out of coaching is, what would I do with the free time other than spend time with your family? Because I just don't do it. I try to play a little golf. I would like to go on record, and I know Coach Thomas is not listening, but I did win the athletic department summer and fall league golf competition, and that's beating Eric Loki and David Thomas. So I'll be sure we get that out there for everybody. So
all right, well, it's officially.
This is on replay. A lot of folks watch this. They're at church tonight or something. There'll be a lot of people watch this over the next couple of days.
I'll be sure I get that straight because I've improved in my golf game. So.
Well, real quick, you mentioned family and obviously spending time with them, and it's switching out of the coaching role is giving you a little bit more opportunities to do that. How fun has it been to watch your daughters? Obviously, you've got two daughters. One's a freshman in college. Another one, I'm sorry, she's a senior this year. Junior this year. They played volleyball and softball. So I've seen you at a bunch of those games. So how much fun has that been for you and your wife to be able to just kind of sit out in right field and watch some softball, or sit up in the stands and watch some volleyball?
It's there's nothing like it, and that's I get more joy raising those kids. They've been a blessing to me and Dee Dee, and I'm very proud of them. Hannah. And since we're on a sports show, I want to say this. Hannah was not a great athlete, but she's a great story as far as what athletics did for her, and she was able to be part of something bigger than her, and she didn't quit. And I watched her stick with the volleyball program and let her get her letter jacket, and they went to the playoffs, and she was a part of that. And that's what high school sports is about. And then Haley, I just enjoy the heck out of watching her play softball, so we just feel very blessed. And like I said, that was part of my decision of stepping aside, that I wanted to be sure I had time. 2 years ago, got to go to Indiana with Haley in the middle of August to one of those tournaments up there. And if I were coaching, I wouldn't have. She and I got to spend about 5 days together, just her and I on the road.
Good stuff.
And those are just memories that we can't give. So it's been real fortunate for me. And like I said, they're a blessing. I mean, I'm proud of both of them, love them both, and can't tell you how fortunate I feel to be their dad. So
absolutely. Well, I'm getting to the nitty gritty. Do you have a favorite football movie, Coach?
Favorite football movie? Shoot, man.
I know that question's been asked several times over the last couple of weeks between Adam and Piper.
I'm going to tell you that there's a lot of good ones. Rudy and them are feel-good stories, and, everybody's All-American was a great one. Of course, I'm going to go way back, and All the Right Moves with Tom Cruise.
Oh, wow.
I'm dating you guys a little bit, but that's
right.
The Remember the Titans. Those are great movies. But I'm going to tell you, one of my favorite movies I enjoyed watching was We Are Marshall.
That was a good one.
I got a great kick out of watching Matthew McConaughey be a coach, and that was. It's a great story. I mean, it's a tragic story, but it was a great story of what football can mean to obviously the university, but the community. So,
absolutely,
I enjoyed watching that. But I'm gonna go back. One of my first movies was All the Right Moves with Tom Cruise.
That's a good one. That's a good one, because I think the last several weeks everybody's been popping up with Remember the Titans. You mentioned that, and
Craig T. Nelson was the coach, I think, if I remember right, on that movie. And I'll tell you about Conroy Hines since we're talking about him. One of the things about him, he got more useless knowledge. He's got more trivia, movie trivia, than anybody I've ever been around in my life. And he always brings up stuff like that. So I wish he was listening tonight, because he could probably give you the entire cast of the All the Right Moves. So
he can. I just love it when he tries to do some trivia with some of those athletes, and they just kind of stare at him like, I have no idea what you're talking about.
Well, I used to stare at him and say, how do you just sit around and watch TV all the time? What do you
This kind of turned into the Let's Bash on Conroy Hines show, but
absolutely. That's what it's all about.
That's what it's all about.
Why not?
So very last question, you'll be proud that Coach Hennigan, I did ask for maybe some dirt on Joey Florence, and Coach Hennigan is a smart man and didn't give me anything. So would you like to share any dirt on Coach Hennigan?
Oh.
Well, the only thing I can tell you about Coach Hennigan that I have a good time with is that he was a surfer boy from California. And the only thing I can give him, he's kind of liberal in some of his ways, like they all are out there in California. And, well, I can't say everything I want to say about Coach Highland other than that the best thing about him is that he's smart enough to figure out that the best high school football is in Texas. And so he got out of California as fast as he could. So
he did say that last week. So
yeah, he told us he and his wife want to come to Texas and get out of college and do high school football, and he's I think very happy with that decision.
Yeah, I would be happy getting out of California and getting here. We're in God's country here. It's a great state of Texas, and but I'm gonna tell you that really wasn't his decision. That was his wife's decision. She's from Texas, and I'll give him credit. He's smart enough to it's pretty shit.
He didn't tell us that part.
Well, that's the truth. So hey, that's what you get with me. I'm gonna give you the truth. The truth is, Lori said we're going back home, and so guess what?
Yes, ma'am. He said yes, ma'am.
He came home. So no, he's a good one. I don't have any dirt on him.
Well, that's it for the Corral. Coach Flo, as expected, hung on to the Bunkin' Broncos and did a fantastic job, as everybody predicted. So congrats,
Steve. We want to wrap up. And again, thanks, Coach Florence, for hanging out. We've obviously got one pick, Coach Florence. Denton Ryan versus Highland Park. We have a hunch who you're going with on this one.
Yeah, there's no doubt. I'm a Ryan Raider, so I'm thinking it's their time this time. So I'm gonna go with the Ryan Raiders. I'm gonna go with them. I'm gonna go with them by 13 points.
Oh, there you go. Very specific.
One thing, Steve. I know you've got some comments on this one, but Boedeker started telling me about these point spreads. That somebody's running an algorithm and they come up with these point spreads on these high school games. Is there actually a point spread on this one?
You know what? That's
13,
one thing.
13. Yeah, I just made
13.
it.
The hard money line.
Joey Florence said it. So there you go.
For the record, no one bets on high school football here in Texas. But for the record, the hard money line has just been set in Vegas.
Well, real quick, I'm going to go ahead and pick the Ryan Raiders as well. I think that this is going to be a very difficult game for both teams. I think it's going to be a nail biter right down to the end, but I think at the end of the day, I think Ryan's got a lot of weapons on offense. I think more than Highland Park in this case. I think I give him the edge on that. And defensively, that defense is playing good right now, and they've kind of hit their peak. And so, I mean, they're definitely heading in the right direction. So I'm gonna go with the Raiders as well. So.
Hey, Steve, you can't see it, but, man, I've got a big giant mugshot of you up on the side screen. So I'm going to thank
I've got it.
Newspaper Steve for guest hosting tonight. Boedeker had a Christmas party planned, and actually Boedeker hung in here with us, I think, most of the show. So thank you so much for guest hosting. And Coach Joey Florence, there's another picture of We Are Champions. Man, I've been up to your field house there. Just a great history of not only Denton Ryan, but the whole Denton ISD athletic department. We appreciate the job you're doing for all these young men and women here in Denton ISD. We see it from the middle schools. It just feed up into the high schools. It's just an amazing thing that we see here covering it. And then, again, thank our presenting sponsor, Verse Grill and Tavern. Steve, you don't know this yet, but I'm going to give you a Verse Grill and Tavern gift card tonight, as well as Coach Florence.
Oh, wow. Thank you.
Appreciate you guys coming on. Appreciate Verse Grill and Tavern and Shoal Creek for sponsoring this show that we never thought we'd get to week 1. Here we are in week 18. So, and again, thank you, the viewers that tune in each and every week or watch us on the replay. And we hope to see you Friday night, AT&T Stadium. I do want to ask, Coach, why such a late game, 9 o'clock?
Well, they're going to have 2 games over there on Friday night. This has been one of the saddest parts for me when they built AT&T Stadium is it's not as available. They've got they put a roof over it. They've got for all these other events that they have, and usually this time of the year, Texas Stadium there weren't a lot of events in it, so you would have triple headers, and they just limit your choices. So they gave 2 slots. They had a 5 o'clock game and a 9 o'clock game.
Oh wow!
And it's unfortunate, but that venue is so sought after, and it's not just high school football. I mean, it's concerts, and they have corporate. They have all these things.
Tractor pulls.
They have
wrestling.
So high school football's taking a little hit on that, but that's the rationale. It's not available on Saturday, so if you want to play there, you're gonna play at 9 o'clock.
Hey, if they if you stay up to watch a boxing fight or the big time MMA fight or anything like that, it's the late show. It's the prime time matchup, and save the best for last. And it's gonna be a doozy, as I like to say. Running a little short on my deadline. I'm not too happy about that deadline. With a 9 o'clock start, but I'll go wherever I can watch Ryan and Highland Park play. So let's do it.
Hey, Steve, one thing, we were going to give away a hat. We did get a couple comments about the Star Wars episode.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Let's give away a hat. Let me see if I can quote some of those comments real quick, and we'll let Coach Flo pick the winner, so there's no bias here. Let's see if we can pick one up here. We had tons of comments, and I appreciate all that. Here's one that I thought was pretty cool. Earl Spence says the best episode will be Spencer Sanders Strikes Back Friday night at AT&T Stadium.
Lord.
Lord. Earl. Is that Earl?
Well,
Earl
before
Spence?
you pick,
Earl Spence.
That's pretty good, Earl.
that was a good one. Let's see. Boedeker, I don't know if he's eligible to win or not. What do you think, Coach Flo? He says Empire Strikes Back. Everybody knows that.
I mean, that's my pick, but you can't pick Adam. I mean,
Adam, we'll get you a hat. We know where you live.
We got any of the ladies that picked in on this tonight? Anybody besides the guys?
Normally we have quite a few women that join, and I know I hear out in the community they join. They just don't always comment, but I think there was a couple others. But anyhow, here's one. Cody Gentry says, "Return of the Jedi."
That was good.
Feeling the full power of the Force, like Spencer Sanders is feeling it now. So.
Everybody's automatically just turning it back on Spencer and them Ryan Raiders.
Yeah.
What do you think, Coach?
I'm thinking I'm going with Earl.
Earl Spence.
Earl Spence gets that.
It's like you guys know him. I don't know Earl.
I don't know Earl, but he follows me on Twitter. I've seen that name a million times, so I appreciate Earl very much for the follow.
As people do on the show, people do win. And Earl Spence, if you'll send us a message to our Facebook page, if you're still on, or if someone knows Earl Spence, send us a message. Let us know how to reach Earl Spence, and we'll get you that hat. So, again, thanks, everybody, for tuning in. With that, Coach, we're going to sign off. Thanks for hanging out with us.
Thanks, guys.
And good luck Friday night.
All right, thank you.
Thanks, Coach.
Thanks, Steve.